What if I told you that just 2 minutes could help you escape procrastination forever? It sounds impossible, right? But procrastination isn't about laziness, it's about hesitation. It's the silent thief that steals hours from your day and years from your life. The truth is, there's a way to break free. And it starts with one rule so small, your brain can fight it. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how the 2-minute rule can change everything for you. But first, you need to understand the trap that keeps most people stuck. The silent trap of procrastination. You wake up with good intentions. You tell yourself, today will be different. You imagine yourself sitting down, focused, finally doing the thing you've been avoiding. Maybe it's that assignment, maybe it's the workout, maybe it's the business idea you've been carrying for months. In your head, it feels so clear, you're ready. But then something small steals your attention. A notification buzzes on your phone. You think, let me just check this real quick. And 10 minutes vanish, then 20, then an hour. You tell yourself, I'll start after lunch. But after lunch, you feel sluggish. So you push it to the evening. Evening comes, but now you're tired, so you tell yourself you'll just do it tomorrow. Tomorrow becomes next week. Next week becomes next month. Until one day, you're staring at the same unfinished goal, still stuck in the exact same place. That's the trap. Procrastination doesn't attack you head on. It doesn't show up like some enemy you can clearly see. No, it works quietly, subtly. It seeps into your decisions in tiny drops, convincing you that putting things off just once won't matter. But every just once piles up. Every later becomes heavier. And before you know it, you're carrying the crushing weight of 1,000 delayed decisions. The cruel part is that your brain convinces you it's harmless. You whisper to yourself, it's fine, you'll do it later, but later becomes tomorrow, tomorrow becomes next week, and eventually you forget what starting even feels like. And the cost isn't just the task you never finished. It's much bigger than that. It's the opportunities you miss, the momentum you never build, the confidence you slowly lose. Think about it. Every time you procrastinate, you reinforce the identity of someone who doesn't follow through. You start to believe that's just who you are, and that belief becomes a prison. Procrastination doesn't just steal your minutes, it steals your future. It takes your potential and hides it behind an endless wall of, "I'll do it later." But here's the truth. It's not because you're lazy. It's not because you lack discipline. It's because your brain gets overwhelmed by the size of the task in front of you. The bigger it feels, the more your brain resists. You don't fail at doing the work, you fail at starting. And that's where everything changes. The discovery of the 2-minute rule. The truth is, procrastination feeds on one thing: delay. The longer you hesitate, the stronger it grows. And for years, I thought I needed motivation or willpower or some magical burst of energy to finally break the cycle. But none of that worked. I would wait for the perfect time, the perfect mood, the perfect setup. And in that waiting, nothing got done. That's when I stumbled across something so small, it almost felt too ridiculous to matter. It's called the 2-minute rule. And it works like this. If something will take you less than 2 minutes to do, you do it immediately. No debate, no delay, no second guessing. And if it's something bigger, something that takes hours or even months, you still start with just 2 minutes. Write one sentence, do one push-up, open the document, make that one call. That's it. At first, I laughed. How could 2 minutes possibly make a difference? 2 minutes is nothing. But the more I thought about it, the more it clicked. The hardest part of any task isn't finishing, it's starting. And 2 minutes is so small, so light, that your brain doesn't fight it. It can't argue. It can't complain. 2 minutes is harmless, and here's where the magic happens. 2 minutes almost never stays. 2 minutes. You sit down to write one sentence, and suddenly you're writing a page. You lace up your shoes for a 2-minute walk, and suddenly you're running for 20 minutes. You open that file for a quick glance, and suddenly you're an hour deep into progress. This is why the 2-minute rule is so powerful. It's not about the size of the action. It's about lowering the barrier to entry so much that procrastination has no chance to stop you. Because the moment you start, momentum takes over. And once I understood that, everything changed. Because now I wasn't waiting for motivation, I was creating it. But the real question is, how does this tiny rule work so deeply on your brain? Why does something so small have the power to dismantle procrastination entirely? That's what you need to see next. Why the 2-minute rule works on your brain. Here's the secret most people never realize. Your brain doesn't need the whole task completed to feel good. It just needs a spark of progress. The hardest part isn't finishing, it's beginning. It's switching your brain from stillness into motion. Once you're in motion, everything changes. Think about all the times you've avoided starting something, a project, a workout, a conversation you knew you needed to have. You delayed it for hours, maybe even days, telling yourself you weren't ready. But the moment you finally started, even just a little, everything shifted. 5 minutes in, you felt lighter. 10 minutes in, you were fully engaged. That sudden shift wasn't luck. It was your brain chemistry flipping from resistance to reward. Here's what really happens. When you take that tiny 2-minute action, whether it's typing a sentence, putting on your running shoes, or opening that email, you release dopamine. Dopamine is your brain's way of saying, yes, we're moving forward. Keep going. Your brain doesn't care that you only did something small. It rewards you for the act of beginning. That small start ignites momentum, and once momentum is on your side, continuing feels easier than stopping. This is why people who wait for motivation never break free. They think motivation comes first and then action follows. But the truth is the opposite. Action comes first. Motivation is the reward. Every time you wait to feel ready, you're stuck in the wrong cycle. That's why days pass with nothing done. You weren't lazy. You were simply waiting for a feeling that only shows up after you've begun. The brilliance of the 2-minute rule is that it's too small to fail. 2 minutes doesn't scare your brain. 2 minutes doesn't trigger the fear of failure. 2 minutes doesn't give your inner critic room to argue. It's such a harmless, laughably small step that your brain lets you slide right past resistance. And once you're moving, the resistance disappears. You felt this before without realizing it. You told yourself you'd just scroll for 2 minutes, and suddenly 30 minutes were gone. You told yourself you'd watch one episode, and suddenly the whole season was finished. That's the same psychology, but working against you. The 2-minute rule flips it around and makes momentum work for you, not against you. And here's something even more powerful. Each time you follow the 2-minute rule, you're not just doing a task, you're building evidence. Evidence that you're a person who starts. Evidence that you can take action, no matter how small. Over time, those little wins stack up into something far more important. A shift in your identity. You stop telling yourself, I'm a procrastinator, and start proving to yourself, I'm a doer. That's why this rule works. It doesn't just trick your brain into starting, it rewires your self-image. Every action, no matter how small, becomes a vote for the kind of person you're becoming. And once your identity shifts, procrastination loses its power, because procrastination can't survive in someone who already believes, I take action. So yes, 2 minutes may sound small, insignificant even, but 2 minutes is a doorway. Once you walk through it, you're not the same person. Your brain changes, your habits change, and in time, your entire life changes. But don't just take my word for it. To really understand how powerful this rule is, you need to see what happens when people actually live it out, because the results don't just show up, they multiply. And that's exactly what we're going to look at next. Real life proof of the 2-minute rule. The 2-minute rule sounds almost too simple to matter. 2 minutes feels like nothing. 2 minutes feels like a drop in the ocean. And that's exactly why most people dismiss it. They think, how could something so small ever make a real difference? But here's the truth. You've been underestimating the power of small beginnings your whole life. 2 minutes doesn't just get you started. 2 minutes sets off a chain reaction that can transform everything. Take fitness. You tell yourself you're too tired to work out. You don't have the time. You don't have the energy. But then you use the 2-minute rule. You say, all I have to do is put on my shoes and step outside for 2 minutes. That's it. No pressure to run a mile. No expectation of a full workout. Just 2 minutes. And what happens? Once the shoes are on, once you're outside, your body wants to keep moving. 2 minutes becomes 10. 10 becomes 30. Before you know it, you've done the workout you thought was impossible. Or take writing. Staring at a blank page is overwhelming. You tell yourself, it'll start when I feel ready. But ready never comes. Instead, you shrink the task down. You say, it'll just write one sentence, 2 minutes, that's all. And what happens? One sentence becomes two. Two sentences become a paragraph. Before you realize it, you're lost in the flow, pages filling up, progress being made. Think about business. Maybe you've been avoiding that important email, that proposal, that call. You tell yourself it's going to take too much time, too much effort, so you delay it. But the 2-minute rule changes the frame. All I have to do is open the document. All I have to do is write the subject line. All I have to do is dial the number. That's it. And the moment you begin, momentum carries you forward. The thing you dreaded becomes the thing you finish. It doesn't stop there. The 2-minute rule works everywhere. Cleaning your house, you tell yourself you don't have time. So you say, I'll just wash one dish. And suddenly the whole sink is clear. Learning a new skill, you tell yourself it's too big, too complicated. So you say, it'll just practice for 2 minutes. And those minutes grow into hours over time. At first, 2 minutes feels small, insignificant. But repeated daily, those tiny starts compound into something unstoppable. 2 minutes of reading every day becomes entire books. 2 minutes of stretching becomes flexibility. 2 minutes of practice becomes mastery. 2 minutes of courage becomes a completely different life. This is why successful people protect small habits. Because they know the truth. Consistency beats intensity. 1 hour of effort done once won't change your life, but 2 minutes done every single day creates momentum that compounds into something far bigger than you imagined. And here's the thing, people on the outside won't understand it. They'll look at your results months or years later and call you disciplined. They'll call you talented, they'll call you lucky. But the truth is simple. You just showed up for 2 minutes every day and let momentum take care of the rest. That's the proof. The 2 minute rule works not because it's magical, but because it bypasses procrastination in the smallest possible way. It makes progress inevitable. But here's the danger: you can still sabotage yourself. You can still let procrastination creep back in if you're not careful, because even with something this simple, your brain will find ways to resist. And if you don't protect your momentum, you'll lose it. That's why you need to know the common pitfalls, the invisible traps that kill the 2 minute rule before it has a chance to transform you. And that's exactly what we're going to cover next: pitfalls and how to defend against them. By now, you see how powerful the 2 minute rule can be, but let me be clear: procrastination is not a weak enemy. It doesn't disappear overnight. It hides, it adapts, it waits for you to slip, and if you're not careful, even something as small as 2 minutes can be stolen right out from under you. One of the biggest pitfalls is distraction. You tell yourself, I'll start in 2 minutes. But before you begin, you check your phone just for a second. You see a message, you see a notification, you scroll. Suddenly, that just 1 second has turned into 10 minutes, and 10 minutes has turned into an hour. Your 2 minutes, gone. The trap wasn't inside the task, it was before the task even began. That's how procrastination wins. It doesn't stop you in the middle, it kills you before you ever start. Another pitfall is perfectionism. You shrink the task down to 2 minutes, but then your brain whispers, what's the point? 2 minutes isn't enough. If I can't finish it, why even try? That voice is dangerous because it makes small progress feel meaningless. But here's the truth: progress is never meaningless. 2 minutes is proof. Proof that you showed up. Proof that you took action. The people who escape procrastination aren't the ones who wait for perfect conditions. They're the ones who start, no matter how small the start is. Then there's the all or nothing mindset. You think, if I start, it has to turn into something big. You believe every 2 minutes should transform into hours of deep focus. And when it doesn't, when some days really are just 2 minutes, you feel like you failed. But that's a lie. 2 minutes by itself is still a win. 2 minutes is still a vote for your future self. Some days will grow into hours, some days won't. But every day you begin, you reinforce the identity of someone who acts. That's the real victory. Excuses are another trap. Life gets busy, the day gets messy, and you tell yourself, it's just 2 minutes. Skipping today won't matter. But that one skip plants a seed, and that seed grows into 2 skips, then a week, then a month. And before you realize it, you've abandoned the very habit that could have saved you. That's why small actions matter more than you think, because the habit is fragile. It's not the size of the action that counts, it's the act of showing up again and again that keeps the habit alive. So how do you defend yourself against these pitfalls? You create guardrails. You make 2 minutes non-negotiable. You don't wait for motivation. You don't wait for convenience. You treat it like brushing your teeth. Something you do no matter what. You remove distractions before you begin. Put the phone in another room. Close the door. Tell people you're unavailable. Create an environment where 2 minutes feels inevitable. And then you change your mindset. You remind yourself that the goal is not perfection. The goal is not to finish. The goal is to start. Starting is the win. If it grows into more, that's a bonus. If it doesn't, you've still succeeded. You've still built momentum. Finally, you commit to consistency. You treat every day as a chance to prove something to yourself, not to anyone else, just to you. Every time you show up for 2 minutes, you are voting for the person you want to become. And the more votes you cast, the stronger that identity becomes. Because procrastination will always whisper. It will always try to steal your attention, your energy, your belief. But once you defend your 2 minutes, it loses its grip. It has nowhere left to hide. 2 minutes, protected fiercely, is stronger than hours wasted. 2 minutes, repeated daily, is enough to rewrite your entire story. And now comes the most important part: knowing exactly how to apply this rule starting today. Not next week, not when you feel ready. Today. If you follow the steps I'm about to give you, procrastination won't stand a chance. How to apply the 2 minute rule today. So how do you actually use this rule in your life? Not as an idea you heard once, not as something you try for a day and forget, but as a daily practice that rewires how you live. How do you take the 2 minute rule and make it a habit so strong that procrastination has no room left to breathe? The answer is simple, but don't mistake simple for easy. This is not about tips and tricks. This is about building a system that becomes part of who you are. Step 1, choose your target. You cannot aim at everything. If you try, your energy gets scattered. You end up half committed everywhere and consistent nowhere. That's how procrastination sneaks back in. Instead, pick one thing, just one. The single area of your life where progress would create a ripple effect everywhere else. Maybe it's your health, because if you feel stronger, you'll have the energy to change everything else. Maybe it's your career, because if you start making progress there, your confidence and opportunities expand. Maybe it's your personal growth, because once you build discipline, it bleeds into every other part of your life. Don't overthink it. Choose one. That's your mission. Step 2, shrink it down. Now take that mission and break it into something so laughably small that you couldn't possibly say no. If your mission is to write a book, your 2-minute version is writing one sentence, just one. If your mission is to get fit, your 2-minute version is putting on your workout shoes and standing outside. That's it. If your mission is to learn a skill, your 2-minute version is practicing for 120 seconds. Not 2 hours, not even 20 minutes, just 2. It has to be so small that your brain can't fight back. Step 3, set your trigger. Your 2 minutes can't float around waiting for a free moment, because free moments never come. Life will always find a way to steal them. Instead, anchor your 2 minutes to a trigger. Maybe it's the moment you wake up. Maybe it's when you pour your coffee. Maybe it's right after brushing your teeth. Maybe it's before bed. The time doesn't matter as much as the consistency. Same time, same cue, every day. When you connect your action to something you already do, it becomes automatic. You don't have to think. You just follow the pattern. Step 4, protect it fiercely. This is where people fail. They tell themselves, it's just 2 minutes. I can squeeze it in later, but later is the graveyard where dreams go to die. Later is where procrastination thrives. You cannot treat your 2 minutes like an afterthought. You have to guard it like it's sacred, and that means no phone, no notifications, no conversations. For those 120 seconds, you are unavailable to the world. If someone calls, they wait. If a message pops up, it waits. Nothing else exists. Because in that short window, you are proving something to yourself that you can start no matter what. Step 5, repeat it for 7 days straight. Why 7? Because a week is long enough to break through the noise, but short enough to feel possible. 7 days forces you to experience the resistance, the excuses, the voice in your head saying, this is pointless. And every day you push through it, you chip away at that voice. By day 7, something shifts. You start to believe, you start to trust yourself again. You begin to see that the task wasn't impossible, it was just hidden behind hesitation. Now, let me warn you, day 1 will feel harder than it should. You'll feel the weight of resistance pressing down on you, not because the task is big, but because procrastination knows it's under attack. It will fight back. Your brain will scream, 2 minutes won't change anything. Why bother? That is your old identity fighting for survival. Don't listen, push through, because once you prove yourself wrong on day 1, you will never look at procrastination the same way again. And here's the beauty. Once you stack a week, the habit begins to take root. You'll notice something strange happening. 2 minutes will stop feeling like a struggle. It will start to stretch naturally into 10. 10 will grow into 30. Some days you'll lose track of time and realize you've worked for hours. Other days it will stay small, and that's okay, because either way, you won. Either way, you proved you can start. And that's the key. The 2-minute rule isn't about guaranteeing hours of effort. It's about guaranteeing the first step. The first step is what matters most, because it rewires your brain and rebuilds your identity. Every single time you follow through, you are casting a vote for the person you want to become. So yes, it's just 2 minutes, but those 2 minutes, protected and repeated, are enough to change everything. Now you know how to apply it. But here's the deeper truth. The 2-minute rule doesn't just change your tasks. It changes you. It reshapes your identity. And once that identity shifts, procrastination can't survive. The identity shift. At first, the 2-minute rule feels like a trick, a little mental hack to outsmart procrastination. But if you stay with it, if you live it long enough, you'll notice something deeper happening. The 2-minute rule isn't just about tasks, it's about identity. Because here's the truth. Procrastination has never really been about time. It's about who you believe you are. If deep down you believe you're someone who procrastinates, you will keep procrastinating. You'll keep finding reasons to delay. You'll keep proving yourself right. And every time you put something off, that identity gets stronger. See, I knew I couldn't stick with it, but every time you use the 2-minute rule, you plant a different seed. You tell yourself, I start, I act, I move forward. And even if it's small, even if it's just one sentence, one push-up, one page, that action becomes evidence, and evidence shapes identity. Think about it. If you show up every day for 2 minutes, what are you proving? You're proving you're consistent. You're proving you're reliable. You're proving you're the kind of person who takes action, no matter how small. And once you believe that about yourself, procrastination loses its grip, because procrastination cannot survive in someone who already sees themselves as a doer. This is why the 2-minute rule is so powerful. It doesn't just change your schedule. It doesn't just change your habits. It changes how you see yourself. And when your identity shifts, your future shifts with it. You go from saying "I'll try" to saying "I show up." You go from saying "I'm not disciplined" to saying "I take action daily." You go from being trapped by procrastination to being free to build the life you actually want. And here's the beautiful part. This shift doesn't take years. It doesn't take hours of grinding every day. It begins the very first time you follow the rule. The first time you choose 2 minutes of action over hesitation, you create a crack in the old identity. The light gets in, and with every repetition, that crack widens until the old version of you falls away completely. Because this isn't about doing more, this is about becoming more. 2 minutes is small enough to start, but powerful enough to rewrite the story you've been telling yourself. And once you understand that, procrastination is finished. It can't control you anymore.